Hello, and welcome once again to On the Go with the Glen Advantage team. I'm Marcia Glenn, your host, and today we are here with Garrett Jones, Grants Coordinator at the Greater Rochester Habitat for Humanity. I'm so excited about having these conversations with you today.
Happy to be here.
Thanks for spending time with us, and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so I've been with Habitat for about 2 years now as the grants coordinator. So my primary responsibility at Habitat is to submit applications for funding from various state and local programs to help support our mission, help support our cause and our programs. And that comes with another range of responsibilities as far as overseeing the flow of funds, drawing down on funds from state government sources, and facilitating the use of that through our budget process. So I oversee a lot of the financial aspect of our our home building program, our critical home repair program. And then in addition to that as well, more recently we've sort of taken on advocacy as our next big initiative at Habitat as well. And I'm sort of the lead for that project right now. It's still in its infancy, but we're trying to do a lot more out in the community to push for policies and procedures and laws that support affordable home ownership in the greater Rochester area.
Great. So that's what's got me so excited about having this conversation with you today, because there's so much more about Habitat for Humanity that people don't really necessarily understand, like what's happening behind the scenes and how you make things happen in the community. It's far more than building just houses,
Right.
which most people kind of equate with Habitat for Humanity. That you build houses, you get volunteers, you build houses. Way more involved than just that aspect. I mean, that aspect alone
Yeah.
is huge.
Certainly.
But today we will, of course, be discussing the building of suitable and affordable housing, as you had mentioned, in partnership with families in need of a decent place to live,
Right.
which is the basic tenet of your organization, as I understand. But we will also talk about trucks, galas, beer, coffee, and the Rockefeller Christmas tree and how all of them are connected to habitats. So let's get started. Habitat for Humanity came out of a concept of partnership housing, where those in need of decent shelter work side by side with volunteers to build affordable houses. The houses would be built at no profit. Flower City Habitat for Humanity, the local version of Habitat for Humanity International, was created in Rochester in 1984. Correct?
Correct.
In 2006, the first local restore opened at the Rochester Public Market. There are now 3 stores in total, which one in Webster, Henrietta, and Canandaigua.
Yep.
Realizing that the whole world would be greater than the sum of the parts in 2023, the Ontario County Habitat joined with the Wayne County Habitat and the Flower City Habitat to create the Greater Rochester Habitat for Humanity, which was a great collaboration in that regard.
Absolutely.
Serving the 3-county region, which was really necessary. This combined office is one of the most productive habitat locations in the state. Am I correct in that?
Yes, absolutely. After Westchester, New York City, we're one of the highest producing affiliates in the state.
That's great. So now that we know the basics of how Habitat came to be in Rochester, let's get into the services that Habitat actually provides to the community. So talk about the first-time homebuyers program a little bit.
Yeah, so our homebuyer program is designed to support first-time homebuying families who their financial means are somewhat limited, and the current housing situation that they're in, whether it be a substandard rental unit or something that is too expensive to be able to afford on a month-to-month basis. We work with those families. We partner with them to build new single-family homes, which ultimately they end up purchasing from us at an affordable mortgage rate. So, the primary aim of the program, again, is to take families that are sort of struggling in the current situation, support them through programmatic processes such as financial education, mortgage counseling, classes around budgeting, credit card usage, debt reduction, all of those things to basically give them the tools they need to be successful homeowners. And then in addition to that, as part of their partnership with us, these families also contribute to the construction of their own homes. We call it sweat equity labor.
Okay.
Every family that participates in the program has to contribute a minimum of 200 hours of sweat equity, and those hours can be fulfilled, in part through helping on the construction of their own home, like I said, but also they support the construction of other habitat homes as well, and they volunteer at our restore and with other community service organizations to meet that requirement. So it's a comprehensive program that it gives the buyer the tools they need, again, to be successful in the long term and to ensure affordability for them, at the front end to enable that access to home ownership that we're looking for.
Well, being in real estate for
Hmm.
34 years and what has been happening in the real estate market over the past 5,
Right.
at least, the affordability issue
Hmm.
and getting people into what is supposed to be the American dream that everyone should be able to achieve and everyone looks forward to from the time that they're little. Growing up, they're told they should be able to achieve it.
Right.
Not necessarily so for
Hmm.
every single person who is living out there in our community.
Yeah.
So the fact that this first time homebuyer program is something where folks can get involved,
Hmm.
look forward to being able to create that American dream for
Hmm.
themselves, take responsibility for themselves in terms of putting it together, know that they have a vested interest in the home ownership and they can achieve it.
Hmm.
And then the sweat equity, they can actually see themselves building their own
Hmm.
dream,
Yep.
accomplishing that with their own hands.
Yep.
I think all of that is such a necessity
Yep.
in terms of our community. And you're putting it together, Habitat for Humanity being able to bring that point together is something that cannot be stated as being so beneficial to those folks in need.
Yeah, first time home buyers, particularly those on the lower end of the income bracket, they're essentially shut out from, market rate affordable or market rate homeownership opportunities at the moment because, home values are rising, they're, outpacing gains in income. Certain mortgage products with interest rates being where they are just are not accessible to this subset of the population. So their options are extremely limited, and homeownership is simply not attainable absent, a service like the one that we provide, which again is geared around ensuring that affordability and being able to sustain it in the long term.
Well, along with that, the ability not to be able to afford in our particular market,
Hmm.
giving them an outlet to be able to achieve the access to that housing
Hmm.
because the actual rental market
Hmm.
is not one which is affordable either. That's even higher in some cases than what
Yes.
one would be paying for a mortgage payment.
Hmm.
So they're kind of priced out of everything
Yeah, and
across the board. So what do these people do?
they don't have access again. There's a tremendous amount of research demonstrating the benefits of homeownership in general, both for the family itself and also the community at large. And these are benefits again that they do not have access to. One of them is the ability to build wealth, build equity in the home, and ultimately realize that equity down the line. When you're renting, obviously you're not building up that equity, and a lot of times, like you said, your monthly payment is in excess of what you would be paying for a mortgage anyway. And then even then, a lot of the times in borderline affordable rental units, the quality isn't up to par. And, that can introduce health challenges. It can introduce issues like overcrowding where you have more than, you know, 3 people in a one-bedroom apartment, for example, and you have sharing spaces that you shouldn't have to be sharing. And all those challenges, they compound on one another and they make it very, very difficult just to, go about living your life, as a renter. And then obviously they completely prevent you from being able to enter home ownership. So
Right. Well, it's certainly not achieving that American dream that everyone is hoping they're
no,
able to.
no. And that's what we see ourselves as being a bridge for, is getting them from that point of need to being able to achieve that dream.
That's excellent.
Mhm.
So, on a local level, can you tell us about the buy the block program?
Yeah. So the city of Rochester's Buy the Block program, it's been, parsed out in phases. So phase one already took place, and that involved the construction of 16 new single family homes in the North Market View area of Rochester. Phase two is currently ongoing, and we are a partner with the city on the phase two portion of the project. So we are serving as the primary developer for 16 additional single family homes, which are being built in the southwest region of Rochester, close to the 19th Ward neighborhood. So it's a city initiative really to catalyze new development of single family homes in communities that have been, underinvested up to this point, and, introducing again the benefits of homeownership to a community that has not really had the ability to attain those up to this point.
So, on a global level, one of the things I found most interesting and something I don't think people consider very often is the care with which Habitat takes when building houses around the globe.
Hmm.
Our world is not a one size fits all. Obviously, our community is not a one size fits all. So, I imagine the world does not fall into the one size fits all.
Hmm.
And neither are the homes Habitat builds. Can you talk about some of the different kinds of houses that are built in different parts of the world and why?
Yeah, and I'll start with even within our own geographic service area, which again, Monroe, Wayne, and Ontario counties, they're very different in terms of the community character, the types of houses you see, the distance and space between houses on any given block. So there are very detail oriented changes that we have to make from house to house at the local level. When you expand that scope to include the entire globe, there are a lot of different factors from country to country that have to be taken into consideration when we're deciding what sort of house to build. There are environmental concerns, um, are there affiliates in Kenya, for example, majority of the houses are built uh, using brick, whereas over here, obviously, it's primarily lumber that we're using to build. And then you have countries like Nepal where, they're using materials like bamboo to create the frames of their homes. So, it's very culturally sensitive in how we decide sort of what materials and how the house is going to look, and it's also something that has to be very considerate of the environmental and potential disaster ramifications that are relevant in those other communities. So Habitat is very very keen on making sure that whichever model we decide to use is going to best support the family and also fit in with the larger community.
So, besides our community
Mhm.
and getting into the global issue,
Mhm.
how expansive is Habitat in
So
terms of globally?
So we're active in over 70 countries around the globe.
Wow.
And, at the local level too, part of the agreement that we have with our parent organization, which is Habitat for Humanity International, is a certain percentage of our unrestricted donations are tithed to the international organization, which, that money is then distributed through, those other 70 countries around the globe. So, when you make a donation to Greater Rochester Habitat, you're not only when it's unrestricted, you're not only supporting the local affiliate, but you're also supporting the mission, globally as well. So, the tithing contribution is something that is very important because it allows our affiliate again to maintain and expand our impact here, in Greater Rochester, but also to contribute to the increase of housing supply again around the globe, and supporting those countries where there is a severe need for affordable housing.
I think that's a really important issue to end up bringing up
Hmm.
because I don't think that in general, when people think in our own community about Habitat for
Hmm.
Humanity, they're not necessarily thinking about how far
Hmm.
that actually goes
Yeah.
and how many people around the world are actually impacted
Hmm.
by what it is that you do.
Yep, and just for some context, I think, to date, since our affiliate, came online in 1985, we've contributed, via the tithing contribution, I think over $1.6 million, which has ultimately supported, improved housing conditions for over 400 families, across the globe. And right now, to get specific, our tithing contributions are designated to Kenya, Nepal, and Ethiopia. So again, there are, specific, actual projects that funding is being, channeled into, outside of the Greater Rochester area. So yeah, it really demonstrates the full scope of what support for Habitat can achieve.
That's really great
Mhm.
because when you think about building the American dream, it's not just the American dream. It's making sure that those folks across the world
Mhm.
are indeed able to enjoy homeownership and being able to maintain for themselves. I think that is such an excellent
Mhm.
point to
Yeah.
really bring home.
Any improvement, any, effort to address the housing crisis, both here and abroad, it has to, account for the fact that you can't solve the crisis. I mean, you can't solve the crisis on your own anyway, but just by building houses in one area, you're not going to see those improvements on the national and international scale. So you Habitat takes very good care to properly distribute their money and to support, new development in as many countries as possible.
And as far as nationally,
Mhm.
how much is involved across the nation? Again, taking you outside of our community and expanding you across
Mhm.
our particular nation. How many do you think are impacted?
We have Habitat affiliates, multiple Habitat affiliates in every state in the country. So, you have Greater Rochester Habitat here representing 3 counties, but you'll have, even in New York State, there are over 10 affiliates. So, each geographic service area, it varies. Some affiliates are much smaller and they represent a much smaller community, and they may only build 1 or 2 houses per year. And then you have affiliates like us who represent 3 counties and a very large population, and we're building, 15 to 20 houses per year. So the level of production varies from affiliate to affiliate, but it is happening concurrently across the country every day.
That's again, I don't think that
Mhm,
folks in general really realize
mhm.
what kind of an impact habitat has
Yep,
with people everywhere.
absolutely,
And
yep.
I think that's a really important, critical point to put out there.
Mhm.
So let's talk about critical home repair program. Tell me about that. It's with the first time home buyers, participants must qualify
Mhm.
and the improvements must be for health, safety, and or accessibility reasons. But tell me more in terms of what that means.
Yeah, so, we try at our affiliate, and affiliates do this again across the country, to provide support for individuals and families across the entire spectrum of homeownership, across the entire time frame from when you're, a first time home buyer, you're a young family looking to purchase your first home. That's where the home buyer program comes in. And then we have the critical home repair program, which is targeted to current homeowners. So people who aren't necessarily habitat homeowners who purchase their homes through us, just folks who, again, meeting the same income requirements as the home buyer program. Hey, they have a need for critical modifications to improve the health, safety, and livability of their residents. And we come in and we provide those repairs cost free for those homeowners. And yeah, every repair is geared towards, again, it's primarily focused on addressing issues that are compromising, the integrity of the home itself or the health of the occupants. So we come in and we look at, whether the roof is old and it needs to be replaced, whether there's a front porch that isn't secure and it presents, potential hazards in terms of tripping and falling over. We assess the property, we make a list of everything we need to do to get it up to a high quality standard, and then we work with the homeowner. We decide on the, a final scope of work, and we perform it at no cost to them. So again, it's a way, to sort of supplement what we're doing in our home buyer program by helping current homeowners to stay where they are and continue to build out that equity and improve upon that equity as well. Because again, these are critical modifications that are in all likelihood contributing to the increased value of the property too. So there are several benefits, in the immediate and long term future for
Mhm.
the homeowners who participate in that program.
Again, something I don't think a whole lot of folks really
Yeah,
knew that kind of
and
background.
it's a program it's really, really taken off in the past couple of years, especially. We launched it in 2019, and we were doing, a few smaller, light touch, more aesthetically oriented jobs initially to sort of get our feet wet and get the program up and running. But lately, the jobs, we have received hundreds and hundreds of applications for the program, and, there's a tremendous need. There's a lot of homeowners currently who, particularly those making less than $50,000, are cost burdened by their current housing situation, and they do not have the ability to, take out a loan to afford a new roof or to, that to be forced to cash in on some of the equity that they had built up to, again, to afford those modifications because they are very, very expensive. And the longer that you delay them, the more expensive they get and the more, risk that they pose. So our goal is to get in there as soon as we can, address those issues, and again, set them up to be able to live comfortably and preserve the asset that they cherished and spent so long developing.
That's excellent.
Mhm,
So, three major services, the last that Habitat offers, Homeward Bound.
mhm.
Tell me about this first step for someone who wants to be a homeowner but needs a little bit more time.
Yep, and so again, this is sort of falling on the earlier part of that continuum
Mhm.
from, renting and needing more stable housing to owning your home. Sometimes we receive applications for the home buyer program, and due to issues with whether it be credit or excessive debt, whatever the case may be, they aren't mortgage ready at the time of application, which is, part of the requirement. So rather than, saying, okay, you don't qualify for the program, we aren't going to be able to get you approved for the loan due to your income situation, your credit score, whatever it may be, rather than, sending them on their way, we bring them into what's called our Homeward Bound program, where our on staff housing counselors, our family services people, will work with those prospective home buyers to build up that credit, to correct those issues, and get them ready to the point where they will be able to qualify for our home buyer program. So again, it's about taking families that would otherwise not have access and working with them, educating them about their finances, how to improve it, giving them a step-by-step process. And, the success story is ultimately they do get to that point and then they qualify for the program and we're able to partner with them to build a new home. So, it's just another service we offer again that is geared around, preempting the home ownership possibility and getting them ready for that.
So these folks don't have to feel as though they've just been thrown into the water and have to learn how to swim by themselves.
Yeah.
You're there holding hands and being able to take them through the process, guide them through the process,
Yep.
give them the information that they need,
Hmm.
and they know that they have someone that they can rely on
Hmm.
that's going to give them the correct information to achieve what it is that they're trying to achieve at the end.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, it's another program that is relatively new for us, and it's something that we're building up every day. But it is tremendously impactful in that it's preserving a crop of potential home buyers that they wouldn't really have any other option were they to be denied from our program. So it's keeping them on board. It's working with them, getting them to the place where they need to be to qualify, and then again, we're able to work with them as we would within the context of the regular home buying process. So
Another excellent point. So we talked about the way that Habitat helps people. Tell us about some of the ways the general public can get involved.
yeah, so there are a wide variety of opportunities for folks out there to support our mission. One of the easiest and most exciting ways to do that is to go around and shop at our local restore locations. So like you said at the start of the interview, we have a location in Webster, we have a location in Henrietta, and we have another location in Canandaigua. And these stores sell, used household items at discounted prices. So new homeowners, if you're moving, it gives people a lot of options, both to donate household items they no longer need and to purchase new items at a discounted price. And all the proceeds that we receive through those restores do get funneled back into the mission and supporting our programs
Nice.
as well. So you're not only obviously, buying something and taking it home with you, but you are supporting again home ownership opportunities for other individuals in the community. And then in addition to that, just volunteering with us as well, coming out to a build site, working with our construction staff, working with the home buyers. Again, volunteer labor is an essential component of our mission and of our home buyer program because, we build houses without having to spend money on a lot of those costs that, traditional market rate home builders typically have to because we are able to rely on volunteers. And it's just a great sort of experience for the individual or for the team of volunteers that is participating because they're working together. They're even, in addition to the home buyer learning how to build their own home, they're also learning, new skills. And we work with volunteers of all skill levels as well. So you really don't need to know how to do anything because our construction staff is very experienced and they'll work with you and show you exactly what you need to do. And at the end of the day, you're again contributing to a new affordable home for somebody in our community. So
So, in terms of volunteering for something like that, how do they get in contact? I mean, who do they call? Who do
yeah,
they have to speak to in order to kind of get onto those particular groups of folks that are out there putting the nails into the wood and
yeah.
making it happen?
It's a very simple process. We have on our website, there's a link where you can sign up to volunteer either at our restore, which is another opportunity I didn't mention. A lot of folks, if you volunteer to restore, you work with the restore staff all day, keep things stocked, work with donors. And it's a great experience volunteering there as well. But yeah, if you go to our webpage, you can sign up to volunteer on a build site. You can, pick your day. And then you can also do the same thing with the restore as well. So everything is streamlined through the website. It makes it very easy. And then at that point, our volunteer coordinators will reach out to you and set something up to get you out on the build site.
Very cool. So I have to speak. I've been selling real estate for a long time, but I'm not necessarily one who builds the houses. So knowing that you can go on site, volunteer, be there, and have a crew of people who can actually help you learn the process, become productive, and feel as though you're helping the whole thing come together without having to know how to actually build a house when you first walk in.
Yep. Yeah. That's what it's geared toward. It's, as open and accessible of a process as it possibly can be. And it delivers a range of benefits beyond, the home you're creating. You're able to develop relationships, with the folks you're volunteering with. You get into the habitat ecosphere. So hopefully, ideally, you'll come back and volunteer again. And you get to meet the families and again, have those conversations, see what the work you're doing is contributing to at a larger level.
Very important. So kitchen deconstruction, what goes on with that?
So with the kitchen deconstruction program, what we do is we allow current homeowners who are about to undergo a kitchen renovation and they need to tear down all their cabinets and then redo everything. Rather than hiring a contractor and paying a contractor to come in and do that, we have a team that will come to the house, neatly take everything down, leave it in a clean, ready to be built state, and we'll take the cabinet materials back to our restore and resell them there. So again, it's another way that you can indirectly support
Right.
the mission, because all the funds from those sales as well again are funneled back into our programs. So it's another, it's a benefit to you as a homeowner to be able to get that service for free. And again, by allowing us to resell those materials, you're contributing to the overall mission.
Great. And as far as donating, how does one donate?
Again, on the website,
Yeah.
there's a very, simple link. You can go there to either, you can make a one-time donation, you can set up recurring donations. We have a great major gifts and plan giving program, which allows you to, for plan giving anyway, you can, build in a donation or a contribution to Habitat through your will. And that's something we can work with folks on as well. We have a service that we offer where they can create their will for free. And it's just another avenue by which you can, again, commit, some of your resources to supporting the program long term. And then for major gifts as well, we're very good about, working with donors who are interested in giving us a large sum of money and stewarding them through that process. And there are a range of tangible benefits that come with that level of support too.
So you can do cars for homes?
Cars for Homes is an HFHI sort of led initiative, and that with that program, you're able to donate a vehicle, RV, truck, a regular car, and again, when we resell it, the proceeds from that sale are funneled back into the mission. So again, another avenue through which folks in the general public, if they have a vehicle that they don't need, that they don't use, and they wanna donate it to their local habitat to support us and help us to fund more homes, then by all means.
And even anyone who happens to be a motorcycle rider who has decided that it's time for them to retire that bike, you
Yep.
can donate those as
Yeah,
well.
we'll take that as well. And again, you don't think of it at the time. You have a vehicle you don't use anymore. It's you can trade it in and get a new one. This is a whole other option that we want to make people aware of, because again, it's you're getting rid of your old vehicle, but you're supporting the construction of new, decent, affordable homes.
Brews for builds.
hmm
That sounds fun.
Yeah. So the Brews for Build is a relatively it's a new offering that we have where you can go on our website again. There's a link there where you can purchase a pass to be able to get buy one get one beers at a range of local breweries. I believe there's 20 on the list right now. And again, proceeds all go back into the mission. And we've seen a lot of success, a lot of interest in that, particularly around the holidays. And the same goes for the coffee pass as well, which gives you benefits at a range of local cafes in the Rochester area and Ontario and Wayne counties as well.
There's just so many things I've never even knew were existing.
Yeah,
Habitat.
there are a lot of new and innovative ways to again give people something that they want, give them a benefit while also being able to give them the opportunity to contribute to the overall mission.
So they get something and they get to feel good at the same time.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Everybody wins.
From Foundation to Forever, April 24th, 2026, Oak Hill Country Club.
Mm-hmm. That is our upcoming gala that we do annually every year, and this is our 25th annual gala, I believe. So, Oak Hill is an awesome venue, and as far as contributing to that and supporting that event, folks have the ability to donate auction items, which are then auctioned off at the event, and they also have the ability to contribute funding to sponsor the event, purchase a table, and there's a wide range of benefits that come with that as well.
Also something that you can learn about online?
Yep. So if you go to our main webpage, there's a donations tab that can walk you through step by step all the different donating options. Again, whether that be a one-time donation or something more planned and intentional over time. And then there's another subset of the website that allows you to purchase the coffee pass, the Brews for Build pass, and to contribute to next year's gala.
Sweet.
Yeah.
People need to go there before Christmas comes.
Yeah.
I think it's a great way to end up getting involved in the holiday spirit.
Absolutely.
So in earlier podcasts, I have discussed with other colleagues the challenges that home buyers and first-time home buyers in particular, and especially those with limited income, are facing. The lack of affordable housing is reaching critical levels, although that has indeed been in place and increasing for the past 5 years for sure, and making the possibility of home ownership a pipe dream for more and more families. So tell us about your priorities with your legislative agenda that you might think might help this situation.
Yeah.
And I know it's 2025 and you're working on 2026, but
Yep.
kind of fill us in a little bit.
Yeah. So again, just for some background, our advocacy program it's still in its infancy stage. So last year we did take a first pass at our first legislative agenda. And there were some very successful items on there. I'll call out a couple in particular. One was to sort of get local municipalities, the city of Rochester, the communities that we work in, to get on board with modular housing. Modular housing is it's not something that's brand new to the construction world, but it is an innovative method that allows us to build more homes more efficiently and at a reduced cost. Allows us to produce at a quicker pace. So one of our priorities on last year's agenda was to explain to local municipalities, the folks that we work with, ultimately a modular house, which again, it's built offsite and shipped, to the site, is indistinguishable from your traditional on-site stick-built home. And the benefits come again in those cost savings and the efficiency with which you're able to build. So, we've been able to spool up a couple of modular house projects, single site projects so far in the city of Rochester, in Wayne County as well, in the village of Palmyra. And we've had some success. We've had, local officials, again, expressing interest in doing more of that kind of housing, which is great for us because it'll be an opportunity to produce more and serve more families going forward. So, that's one success story. The other success story would be we had there's a cohort of New York State Habitat affiliates that have been collectively advocating for several different pieces of legislation at the state level in recent years. And this past year, we had a very big success story. We got it's essentially a tax bill passed at the state level that will allow local assessors to reduce the assessed value of homes sold by organizations like Habitat to first-time buyers, which I won't get too far into the details because part of this legislation is that local municipalities have to opt into it. So they have to, intentionally agree to implement this mechanism. And part of what we're going to be doing a lot of in 2026 is going around to these local towns and trying to make the case for why they should opt into this bill. But it will basically allow local assessors, again, to exempt a certain percentage of the total assessed value from what the home buyers ultimately go to pay taxes on. So when we're calculating what mortgage home buyers can afford, obviously the greater proportion of that burden that's going towards taxes, reduces ultimately the the amount that they're able to afford. So by reducing those taxes, it's another barrier that we're addressing or making it easier for folks, especially to get into homeownership opportunities in higher cost areas as well, where those tax burdens can be more prohibitive.
Which kinda takes it into the desire to branch off a little bit, for example, Monroe County,
Mhm.
into suburban areas,
Yes.
rather than just concentrating city,
Mhm.
Tri-County, Ontario, and Wayne,
Mhm.
getting right out into the suburbs at
Yep.
Monroe County, which that particular piece
Yeah.
would most definitely help.
This will be getting local opt-in on this bill, which again, is the primary focus that you'll be seeing on our 2026 legislative agenda, which we're working on right now. Getting that local opt-in will unlock a lot of municipalities for us, and it will, allow us to actually plan projects there that are financially feasible, both for us and in terms of being able to ensure affordability for buyers who are looking to live in, a different community.
Excellent. So, Garrett, I'd like to thank you for spending time with us today and talking to us about Habitat for Humanity. But before we go, since we are recording this in early December, I do have one holiday related question.
Mhm.
Is it true that every year since 2007, the lumber from the Christmas tree in Rockefeller Center will be used by Habitat for Humanity to build homes for families in need?
That is true. Yes, every year since 2007. So what the Rockefeller Center does once Christmas is over, they donate the tree to Habitat. First, they mill it and
Mhm.
they transform it into beams.
Not just bringing the tree.
Yeah, they don't just drop the tree off at a local affiliate and say good luck with that. Fortunately, so we do get, we get the beams, we get the materials, and then as far as what affiliate uses the lumber in their construction of homes, that's up to HFHI. Usually, I believe they determine it based on where the actual tree was sourced from initially. But yeah, every year since 2007, there's been a few houses out here, a lot in New York State actually, that they do have a piece of that tree in them. So
I think that is so cool.
it's a cool little detail. A lot of
It is a
people
cool
don't
little
know.
detail that
Yeah.
a lot of people have no idea
No.
about. Well, so many things that we've discussed today.
Hmm.
And I think it's really important that we kind of keyed into a lot of those different issues that Habitat is indeed involved in,
Yeah.
because there's so many people, I think, in our community who have no idea
Yep.
kind of like the workings behind
Yeah.
and how everything ends up ticking with your Habitat for Humanity and making it available for folks within the community.
Ultimately, there are, there, like you said, there are misconceptions, or, a lot of people don't understand the full scope of what we do, both internationally and our affiliate here in Greater Rochester. So, any opportunity we have to educate folks on the different programs we have, like a lot of people don't even know about the critical home repair program, for example. That is a resource that we want homeowners who, again, who don't have the financial means to do that work themselves. We want them to know about that program so they can apply, and so we can support them with that. So it's getting the word out there, and then also letting people know about all those different opportunities that they can pursue to support our mission.
So let's talk about one of the things that I think is really important in the community, working with the veterans.
Hmm. Yeah, so veterans are a staple of our community, and we are always looking for ways that we can, give back to the men and women that have served our country, of course. And within our repair program specifically, we do a lot of outreach through local veteran organizations, and we try to identify, those homeowners who are veterans who have served, and again, who have a need in the home, to make it more accessible, to improve their mobility. And we've worked with over 20 veterans up to this point in the repair program. And, again, it's something where when we get an application, from a veteran in the repair program, we always want to try to prioritize that, and get that work done. Again, just to demonstrate, our commitment to that community. And again, to address the very real need that exists among veteran homeowners today. A lot of veterans do struggle with cost burden. They receive, VA benefits, and sometimes that is enough, but sometimes it's not. And again, that's where we can come in, and we can support them to help them maintain their home. And then in addition to that too, a lot of the veterans that we work with, whether they got it while in service, or whether it predates their time in the military, in the Army, Navy, etc. they live with disabilities, and they need a range of modifications to be able to facilitate their day-to-day life within the home without having to rely on in-home care, which is extremely costly, or other medical services. So, and that service applies broadly, just beyond veterans, to address the needs of all disabled members of our community. We're making a concerted effort too, going forward, to try and implement more modifications both in our new home construction program and in critical home repairs to address the needs of IDD individuals. So individuals living with intellectual and developmental disabilities. There are a number of owner occupied households who have disabled members in them, and they do not have the resources, again, to create a suitable living environment. So that, again, we want to be the solution there. We want to work with those families, implement the modifications necessary, and coordinate with other community partners who they have lists of clients who are living with these disabilities, and they're out there looking for resources, looking for help, and we want to be able to provide that for them. So it's a very big focus of our repair program and our home buyer program, and it's something that we're going to be very intentional in considering going forward.
So not only assisting with folks with special needs that
Mhm.
need to be addressed, but also saying a special thank you for all those men and women in the military who have indeed given their lives in service to our country
Mhm.
in a way in which to end up helping them restore their lives.
Yes.
With
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
back.
The least we can do is at least help them to have a secure, safe, stable place to live out their lives. And a lot of our repair program, again, is focused on that. It's about preserving and being able to stay in the home that you've been in for a number of years, and that you raised children in, and you want to see that home last, and you want to continue to be there and live there. So that's what the repair program is all about. And we love being able to, especially the veterans, to support those communities.
Well, I, as a member of the community, thank you for that.
Of course.
So, if you'd like to find out more about the Greater Rochester Habitat for Humanity, go to their website at grhabitat.org. Please check out our show notes from today for more information on today's show. Thanks for joining us today. I want to thank you, Garrett, for definitely enlightening me on so many aspects of Habitat for Humanity. And I'm hoping that our public can now see how important this is for our
Absolutely.
community, and nationally and across the globe.
Of course.
So this is On the Go with the Glenn Advantage Team, and I'm your host once again, Marcia Glenn. Let the Glenn Advantage Team be your advantage in the marketplace, I hope. Search for On the Go with the Glenn Advantage Team wherever you get your podcasts, and follow, like, or subscribe, please, to the series. And we thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you.